Hi friends, the topic is exports mistakes, that I have done, and I wanted to talk about export mistakes that we all could do, especially if we are a new exporter, if we are doing first time exports. So what are the common export mistakes normally we all do? What can we do to avoid these mistakes? So I am going to friends, I am going to talk about my export mistakes that I have done in the last 6 years, and how did these mistakes happen, why did these export mistakes happen. There are mistakes that happen in different areas, like it might be the product, you miss to check or audit the product, or it might be documentation errors, it might be payment risks. There are a lot of things I felt which could go wrong. So I am going to talk about a few export mistakes that I do, and then I will make videos on each mistake that I did, what really happened, and how I actually overcame those mistakes. So today I'm going to list out a few mistakes that I did, right? So first, when I started exports, I was trying to understand the process of exports. At the same time, I was talking to a rice importer in Singapore. I knew how to make the pricing and give the pricing in US dollars. So I was continuously giving prices to rice importers in Singapore. At the same time, I was trying to discuss with the rice miller, getting the price, understanding the quality, etc. So during this time, what happened was, I gave the pricing, and after a continuous discussion for a few days, the buyer said, I'm going to book it, right? So at this time, actually my company registration was ready, but my import documentation and a lot of things was not ready, right? A lot of people think that if you have IEC, that is import export code, you're done, you can do your exports, right? But it is not the same case, because there are a lot of other things that is required to do exports. So I had company registration, I had IEC, I thought now I can export. So I was talking to the customer, I was talking to the rice miller, I was talking to the CHA. So when the order was finally placed by the buyer, now I wanted to make the shipments. And when you really actually go for making a shipment, then a lot of things comes out, as that you have to do a few things actually for the exports to happen. And one such thing, my friends, is that food safety license was required. And that is not at those time that you can get really fast, right? So food safety license was required. Second thing, there was LUT that was required, letter of undertaking. If letter of undertaking, normally you can get it done through your auditors can do a lot of documentation. They will know this, they know people who are in this field, so they can get it to you faster. So a lot of documentation, company incorporation, instead of we trying to register, it is better to actually pay a bit extra and get it done through an auditor, right? So normally when a customer places an order, he expects that in the next 1 week the bags are printed, the production packing starts, and then slowly shipment starts, and at least he thinks that in the next 10 to 15 days probably you will start, you load the container to the vessel, right? Let's take 15 days or 20 days. Your buyer will expect that you will load the container on the vessel. But if you actually see, if you're still a new company, if you're not done a lot of documentation ready, it can take you up to 1 or 2 months to just get the process sorted. Because I'll tell you what happens next. So your documentation, your food safety license was required, right? Okay, your LUT was required. Second thing. Third thing, what you need is a AD code letter from your bank. From your bank is required, and that AD code letter has to be registered at the customs at the port. Anyway, that your CHA will do it for you, but he will want that AD code letter document. And then there is a lot of other paperwork for the port documentation that will be needed by your CHA, like your company, other documentations like company incorporation certificate, PAN copy, and GST and other certificates. Now, this, say for example, there is 1 week wasted in getting this across, right? Then you have to courier those documents to your CHA if you are doing shipment out of, say, JNPT or say Nagpur ICD or say Vizag, Chennai port, right? So you will have to send these. So this time taken is so huge, my friends, is that your buyer will sometimes start getting frustrated that why am I not able to see any progress. If you have to first then give bags for printing. The rice bags have to be printed. In this case, what happens is most of the buyer in rice exports, who import rice, they have their own artwork design which they would have sent it to you. You will have to print those bags here in India. And the printing, normally if you should have a ready supplier. You cannot then go for searching of a new bag supplier. So your bag supplier is going to take about a week's time to deliver the print the bags to you, and then you have to send those bags from the place of printing to the rice mill, right? Now, who is going to help you book the rice? If you are already in direct touch with the miller, if it is 1 or 2 containers, it's easy that way. But if you are working with a miller or multiple mills or agent, it might be 5 containers, it might be 10 containers. The millers will be doing production for some other customers, which means you will not get immediate packing. So you have to plan this. So all these things actually take time. So your documentation in the start to get your company registered under this port took time. Bag printing took time. Bag from the printer to the miller reaching there took time. There the miller has to start your production. That will take some time. So 10 to 12 days actually went in all this work, which delayed the shipment, right? And then you have to go for packing. Once you go for packing, the first thing that you do is you have to get quality inspection done, right? So you might be sitting out of Delhi, for example. You are packing, your mill might be in somewhere in, say, Gondia, for example, or Raipur in Chhattisgarh, right? You will have to appoint a SGS or a Geochem or a third-party inspection company, so that at least somebody can go to the mill that you have booked, so that they can check the quality and send you the report on moisture, broken, discolor, damage, chalky, and all these parameters, right? At the same time, even if it is not an inspection company, you will have to send somebody or you will have to go. So this takes time. What happens if you have booked to the miller, but finally when the miller showed you the cargo is not meeting your specification, right? You might have booked, say for example, fresh milling, paddy milling, IR64 or Swarna rice, but what you see might be just rice to rice. Or you might book Sona Masuri rice, but the steam rice, but the quality of the rice is not evenly distributed, looking like there is a lot of admixture in it, right? So you have booked, for example, Kolam. You finally saw that might be the rice looks like RNR or HMT. So there are a few things which again you have to take further production with the miller, or the mill you have to find another mill. So these things will take some time, which could actually frustrate your buyer. So this is one thing that I experienced, and quite a few actually importers really get frustrated because they would have had their orders that they have to import and then supply to their customers in their country, right? So normally, they will also be chasing you for the shipment. The other part is also that once you ship, also sometimes the documentation, a particular CHA is doing a lot of shipment, so he might not be able to give you the BL might come, but you'll have to send the drafts, you'll have to confirm the drafts. Then there are other documents that he has to give you, which is phytosanitary certificate, fumigation certificate. These certificates also might take its own time, right? So no, the buyer will need his documents faster so that he can be ready when his shipment is coming. If it is a shorter duration, country which is where your container is going to reach faster, then he will need the documents much faster. So these are some of the mistakes, these are some of the problems that I faced while doing exports. And few customers said, you are too slow, you're very slow, I cannot work like this, you have to be fast, you need to know your market. These kind of problems that might come up, right? The second issue that I want to touch upon is payment risk. What if the payment does not come from your buyer? What if you get cheated? What if we agree on a payment terms which is credit? What if we had agreed on a against documents payment terms, but at the last moment buyer said, just surrender the BL, I'm going to make the payment tomorrow. You surrender the BL and the payment does not come. What if you actually get caught up in situations like this, right? So I was doing a shipment to Singapore in the year 2017. It was a credit transaction. So I had to make the shipment, send the documents to the customer, and the customer would release the container and would pay me after 30 days from the date of BL. Right? So this was a credit transaction. So what I did was I took a ECGC insurance cover. I first checked whether the ECGC insurance cover is available on this customer. So the ECGC said the cover is available, and they could give me a cover of up to 1 crore on a particular buyer. So what this means is that when you say 1 crore on a buyer ECGC coverage, which means I can supply up to 1 crore to this buyer, and that until that 1 crore, the coverage will be done by ECGC, right? And they will also state that this starts from this particular day, the coverage. So then I started exporting. I had done a few transactions to that same customer on payment on documents, and then the customer requested that we could do big volumes. I will need 30 days credit. Can you extend the credit? These kind of conversations. And then, so what I did was I took, ECGC cover I checked. And then once I started supplying, a few shipments went through, payments came a little bit delayed, but, it was still okay. Payments was coming, shipments were going. Until a point that that particular buyer in Singapore then didn't make payment at all. So there were about 6 containers of, sorry friends, so there was about 6 containers of rice that had gone to this particular buyer in Singapore in 2017. It was about 42 lakhs at that time, and the payment was not coming. So then what happens is, normally when the buyer stops receiving your calls, then finally the buyer calls go switched off. So then but normally also what happens is, when there is payment getting delayed, it normally does not happen suddenly. So then in a credit transaction, guys, so he will ask for, say, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, then it does not come, and then finally he will not pick up calls, and then the calls go switch off and things like that. And that is when you realize now it's not going to come at all, but you have already taken insurance. But what happens, the next step is that you approach ECGC and then you say that this is the shipment documents, this is the customer which I had taken policy coverage, he's not responding, making false commitment, and the payments not coming. So in this kind of a situation, what happens is, if you have followed all procedures given by ECGC, then what they will take in your case, they will take all the documents, then they will start doing their due diligence on this. So ECGC is an insurance company from the government. but they have third party inspection insurance companies in multiple countries with whom they work, and then they will try to approach the customer to check if there is any issue, what happened, if he responding or not responding, and then they will see whether who else who have taken ECGC cover is supplying to this customer. They will try to talk to them as whether to check whether they are getting the payments or not. So a lot of due diligence will happen, and then ECGC normally, because this does not happen fast, it will take about a month or two. So in about it took about 2 months. So 2 months I was waiting for the payment, and it took 2 more months for ECGC to totally understand this case and actually finally give the 90% claim on the shipment. So normally, based on the type of coverage, you are covered somewhere between 90 to 95%, based on the customer, based on your company's performance, based on the importer's performance, based on the country as such. Singapore, US, UAE, these kind of countries come under A1 category. So normally you get insurance for companies around this, in these countries faster. So this is one kind of an issue that I face, which is a payment risk, my friends. So first was the delay in starting the shipment, which can actually frustrate your customer. Second is payment risk when it comes to credit transactions. So credit transactions should be a complete no, but even in payment against documents also, sometimes situations are in such a way that you are made to actually surrender the BL. So there also you have to be very careful. What if a customer says, surrender the BL today, I will pay you the customer tomorrow? So you will have to know your customer. But if you follow the normal process, then you are you don't have to worry. Yes, no business is easy, right, friends? Even in domestic business also, it is not that challenges don't come. So that challenges are there in every business. In that way, if you see, exports is still very safe, because there is a process where payment first and then surrender later. So right, in domestic business at least we don't have that, right? So if now, for example, if my shipment to Singapore was done on the basis of against documents, and the customer, all sometimes on documents customers also do abscond, they don't pick up the containers, that time you will have to that is why you have to always, when you're working in the market, you have to know at least 2 to 3 buyers, so somebody can help you out, right? So this is very, very necessary. Otherwise, it is typically safe that way. If you know your work very well, you know how to control quality, you know how to make documents, you know how to speed up shipments, you know how to give a good competitive price, taking care of when I say competitive price, for example, say if you are shipping rice out from Raipur in Chhattisgarh. So if you take from Raipur in Chhattisgarh, if you take the rice from Raipur to Vizag, it will cost you about 150 rupees per quintal, the transport cost. But if you take it to Mumbai, it will cost you 220 rupees per quintal, right? So you'll have to see this, from where if you ship, it is going to be economical and you are going to give better pricing. And Vizag might have better price of ocean freights, but Mumbai might not, or Mumbai might be better in ocean freights and Vizag. So you'll have to check, when you do the costing, you'll have to check ocean freights and all these transport charges, so that you make a very competitive pricing as well. So a lot of other mistakes, that a lot of mistakes from which I learned in the last 6 years. There's a lot to talk about, so I thought I'll make a video on few things. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make a video on each mistake and discuss that in more details, so that you get the in-depth info of what really happens during these exports. A lot of times it also happens that you have sent somebody to the rice mill, they have sent you pictures, photos and everything, you have loaded, it might be rice, it might be any product, they have sent you pictures and everything, you have recorded all that, and the shipment is gone. But ultimately when the customer might have paid you, but later when he opens the container, he says that there are so many things, the quality is not right and things like that, and then he might say that I'm going to put a claim on you, right? or he might not give you another order. You have lost your reputation because you didn't focus on quality. Sometimes it also happens that the dry containers, they are damaged. There are holes in the container which you are not able to see at the time of packing. So these kind of problems happen. And when the ship is in the sea, it might be raining and water seeps in. Majority of the cargo is damaged. Who pays for all this, right? There can be things that can go wrong a lot. So a lot of mistakes, lot of things, simple things which can lead to a lot of problems, which I want to talk to you in detail with the video. So this is it, friends, for today. I will come up with individual videos on each problems or mistakes that I did as an exporter and what I learned from it. So but it is not to actually discourage you, but it is to actually kind of help you to understand, so that you take a lot of care while doing these shipments. Thank you so much, friends. I'll see you again next Wednesday. Thank you.